You've just stepped into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age and experience. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We are two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we are here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating your career, growing your business, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So, buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, you, it's good to see you. Welcome to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. It's another episode, and today we're going to be talking all about legacy, the stuff that you live and leave behind. Stacy is back. Stacy, we missed you, and I'm glad to have you back on board. I am Wayne Dawson, Coach VIP. I help midlife Black men transition through midlife so that their second half can be their best half. And Stacy, welcome back.
Oh, Coach Wayne, it is so good to be back. I certainly want to start by thanking you for, moving the show forward despite my absence. I appreciate all of your kind words and want to thank those of you in our, I'm still a little foggy. Thank those of you, the Midlife Revolution Unleashed audience, for your kind words of condolences and support. The love and the prayers continue to be greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. It's good to be back. I am Coach Stacy M. Lewis. I'm a nonprofit executive. I'm a lover of God and his people. And I am a midlife women's coach. And so I am just so excited to be back in this space with you, sir.
Great, Stacy. Stacy, today you triggered some thoughts when you were gone. We talked about dealing with loss, and several folks reached out and said that it was hard hitting because it helped them go through some stuff that they were going through. Mm-hmm. And today, we also have been triggered based on what you went through to talk about preparing a legacy or legacy planning. Right. So, Stacy, what exactly is legacy planning?
Absolutely. I mean, many in our cohort in this midlife season have been through the journey or are going through the journey of caring for their elder parents, their elder aunts, a family member that is close to the end of their physical existence. And the idea of legacy planning is one that is certainly really important because it talks about not only, the opportunity to live peacefully, knowing that everything is in order, but it also talks about your love for others and preparing the way so that when it is your time, when the Lord calls you home, you and your people are prepared. And so for those that are in our listening audience and are like, what are they talking about? So my 94-year-old mother passed away recently, and she certainly lived an extraordinary life, and she made her mark and left her legacy in so many ways. And some of those ways were practical. And so that's what Wayne and I are hoping to cover tonight. Some of those more practical opportunities for us to make our mark and leave our legacy.
Yep. And Curtis is with us. Hi, Curtis.
Hi, Curtis.
Thank you, Curtis. Let me just get it in there. I'm not sure if you could see it, but here we go. Stacy, sometimes we are in the mañana game. You know what the mañana game is, right? We're going to do it tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. In Jamaica, we say soon come. And the
Mm-hmm.
mañana soon come game always, for the most part, gets us by surprise. Why? Because when it comes to transitioning to the other side, people typically don't have a due date, an expiration date. And
Correct.
so a lot of times we know families that are in the thinking of speaking, say, with their insurance person or creating a trust or a will. And we can talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more about that. But
Mm-hmm.
they're like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it when I come from vacation. I'll do it after the flight. I'll do it when I return from wherever. And unfortunately, there's a knock on the door. It's your time. And when this happens, oftentimes families are left flabbergasted. They are just wondering where to find what, how to do this, where this was stored. And so today we really want to talk about one of the things that stop and prevent us from moving forward is just the fear of dealing with mortality.
It is that. It is a fear, as if some people leave here alive. But the reality is, and my father used to always say this, no one leaves here alive, right? So there's no shock. There should be no shock that one day each of us are going to physically die. And the fear that even if you have a fear of death, we get the opportunity to replace or exchange that fear of death with fear about leaving our people, those that love us, that we love, in the lurch, like you said, in this melee, in this way where they don't know what to do. So our hope in today is that, you know, those that you get to just face the reality, not from a morbid or a sad or a terrified standpoint, but from a position of peace and power, knowing that you get to decide, you get to share your wishes, and really leave your people in a position of power.
Yeah. Legacy is so important. Stacy, you know, I know of folks personally in
Mm-hmm.
my own family that because someone had been sensible and wise and thoughtful enough to plan in terms of legacy, that is different type of legacy, but as an organ donor,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
saved her life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's my dear sister, right? And I
Mm.
know others because of that as well. So even the fact that when you are transitioning, you are still helping others, even total strangers,
Right.
because you took the time to plan legacy, right?
Right, right, right. No, that was well said. We believe that, you know, this what we're talking about now is the beauty, the value of being clear and having conversations, right? Having meaningful conversations with those that you love, that love you, or that are taking care of you, and letting them know what your desires are. I love you know, everybody, most of us that have a driver's license have been given the opportunity to say whether we want to be organ donors or not. And if you haven't indicated and you decided that you do, please make sure that you go through the process to take care of that. But one of the opportunities today is to ask yourself the question of what is holding you back from taking the steps toward legacy planning?
And Stacy, sometimes we see legacy planning as that final thing, but the truth of the
Mm.
matter is, a lot of us leave legacies by how we live our lives,
Yes, yes,
right?
absolutely.
Whether it's a positive or negative,
Mhm,
whether it's
mhm,
lasting and have the impact that we want, we're
mhm.
leaving legacies by how we build and walk that walk. And
Mhm.
I know my dad, my mom, they left me legacies in terms of values, right? And belief systems that
Yes.
even as a kid, when I protested and said, nah, old school, I don't like that, it was instilled in me. And when I had my kids, guess what I called on? The family legacy that
That's
was
right.
within. And so it's important that we live our life recognizing how do you want people to show up and say what do you want somebody to say about you when your back is turned and when you are not around.
Yes, absolutely. And to that point of kind of making the mark and leaving your legacy, not just financially, the wisdom, right? Those of us that have had decent parents, that's what we'll say. Well, there's no judgment, no metric here. But there's been such wisdom passed down, and to your point, we often dismiss it, especially in our younger years. But being in this midlife space, you recognize the value of that wisdom, and you really want to pass that on. So it is the opportunity, that wisdom as well as the opportunity to leave a powerful legacy.
So let's give folks challenge number one from a
Challenge,
coaching
challenge,
perspective.
challenge.
Challenge number
Mhm.
one, we want you to start as soon as possible. Remember, don't wait until it's the right time. Now is the right time. Start a legacy conversation, an open conversation with some loved ones or a person that you love and care about, and do that right now. That's a challenge. Take it
Yes.
on.
That's a good challenge. Good challenge, Wayne. Good challenge. What would you say, Wayne, are some of the foundations of a solid legacy plan?
So, how about creating a will or a trust? And I oftentimes hear people say, I'm broke. I don't have nothing to leave, no will. But hey, if you're driving an old beat up car, it's still something to leave, because I know families that have broken up because everybody is claiming a wheel. They don't know who gets what, right?
Not a
So,
wheel.
yeah, be clear. Leave a will. And, if you have like kids, younger kids, I would say you can entrust it in a trust rather
Mhm.
than say these kids get what they can't afford to handle. Stacey, what you got to say?
It's so important, and there, I have to tell you, I've had a will since my son, who is now in his 30s. I feel like he was 12 or 13. And the reason is because I wanted to make sure that the people I trusted to either care for him, to manage whatever monies or things of value I was leaving behind, they were the people I trusted to make sure that he was cared for. And again, it was my peace of mind. It certainly wasn't my son, who was a child, saying, no, do you have a will? Right? It was my peace of mind saying, no, if something happens to me, I want to make sure. Like, I know people that have literally walked out into the street and been hit by a bus, right? We throw that around. But it does happen. And so it's not just about waiting until we get old and older, but it is just saying, like, I want peace of mind to know that things are taken care of. And we often don't realize that even if we may not be wealthy or have a lot of money in the bank, we do have things of value. And your will allow someone, at least the entree to working, with Wells Fargo or your bank of choice, to say that $250 does not just go back to the state. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
So every penny counts.
Yeah, Uncle Sam has no problem dealing with the probate and taking his
Recent.
share of the
He's
deed. That's right. So if you want to build a legacy, you got to protect it.
Yes, yes. And I think another part of the foundation that we want to make sure we just touch on is to prepare and plan for your own healthcare needs.
Yeah.
As we age, while there is great joy in the journey, things happen to our body, and we want to make sure that we have well articulated and documented um, how we want our health care to be managed. So whether that be a living will and or medical power of attorney, these are important things that we want to make sure that our listeners really tap into. There are resources out there. There's no reason for any of us to not have what we need to build a powerful legacy.
Sissy, we were going to bypass this, but I'm going to touch it. And that's the
Cool.
storage of these things, right? So, OJ had an accident in the car, insurance
Mm,
company wrote it off. And very mournfully, I went and I had to clean out the car and take out all of the stuff and put it in a
mm-hmm,
little thing. And I thought about this and I said to myself, some of this stuff should be in the house in a place where it's easily accessible, right?
mm-hmm,
And that reminded me that we got to get waterproof things, bags, baggies.
mm-hmm.
And of course, you want to put it away in a safe or a safe place, wherever that is. But it's not good enough that you only know where you have the goody goodies, right? Where you
The
have your
goody
deeds
goodies.
and the
Mm-hmm,
will and
mm-hmm.
all this stuff. It's important that you point it out to other people so that they are aware where to find the stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that everybody's family dynamic could be different. For me, one of the things I did was I had heard at some point in time about a love folder. And so that's what I called it. I called it a love folder. And that is where the will is stored. That is where my birth certificate or, things like that, that are really important. Insurance documentation, as you get older, the folder gets thicker. But that can be a good thing. So, one way to look at it, continuing in the spirit of love, is to call it a love folder and say, like, this is where my love folder is. It is my love for you, and I'm to be organized and making my mark. And so that's one way to consider pointing it out.
Yeah. And as a coaching exercise, I'm going to
Mm,
switch up in this segment here and
mm-hmm,
say, I challenge you to make sure that you have an organizer, whether it's a steel safe, a waterproof place, or some other form of safety measure in
mm-hmm.
place where you start storing the physical properties that you find very important that will be part of your legacy.
Yeah. Wayne, I'm going to jump around just a little bit because speaking of that, one of the things I was listening to, and shout out to everyone that we might know or love in California that has been through some of those awful fires, that even their fireproof safes, um, could not withstand that heat, those flames. And so it is important to not only document, to have that love folder, that love fireproof box, that love waterproof folder, but to think about how you can store these things digitally and make sure that the right people have access to them, so that, when the time comes, and make sure you have access to them as well, right? If something happens in your home, but you know that you can access those important files digitally, I think you'll appreciate the work that you put in for yourself during that time.
And Stacey, do want to give them another bonus here, and that is to challenge folks to
Mm.
go get a will drafted up within the next 30 days.
Wayne is full of challenges today, y'all. I don't know if you are noticing that, but I think that they are good challenges, and one that if you've got all your stuff together, great. Make sure you leave some tips in the comments because others can glean from what you've already been through and what you know, and what you share with the community. Yes, that is a great challenge. I think around that thinking beyond the tangible is also making sure that people know your spiritual and emotional kind of aims, right? That they know where you stand spiritually. So, if you are a Christian, and your cousin who's in charge of everything is a Muslim, do you want to have a Muslim service, or do you want to have a Christian service, or do you want no service? So, having these conversations, that's what we talked about in the beginning, the meaningful conversations are really critical, and not forgetting about the value of the spiritual and emotional legacy you get to pass on to those you love, as well as document. And so thank you so much. Is it Tola for joining
Yeah,
us? Yes, he
Brother Tola,
is. He is the great Coach Wayne. Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't
Brother
agree with you
Tola.
more. And we certainly want to acknowledge Mike Brooks on Facebook, as well as Lisa Johnson. Thank you so much for tuning into the Midlife Revolution Unleashed.
Mike, nice to have you on, big brother. Okay, Stacy, we are we are talking about this stuff not gleefully, but certainly without a heavy heart, because it's real. You got to deal with the stuff, right? The tough stuff, the light stuff, and it's important that we recognize it's all important stuff, and you don't want to leave a burden on your family because you just overlooked and didn't take the time out to plan for legacy. I
Yes.
think, yeah. Go ahead, Stace.
I was just going to say yes, or because you were afraid to talk about it. Um, don't let fear jump in the way of doing what's best for your own peace of mind and that of those you love.
Yeah. And again, here's the big thing that I like to talk about: living with purpose. And that means intentionality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Leaving a
Mm-hmm.
legacy, again, is not about a death knell and dark bells ringing. It's about living today and preparing yourself to leave behind an essence. That's your
Yeah.
legacy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Mm-hmm.
legacy walks into the room before you even arrive, and it stays behind when you have left.
I couldn't agree with you more. I would add that even right now, you and I are building legacy. In the day to day, we are building legacy, and we get to choose whether that is going to be a positive, uplifting, fulfilling, enriching, rewarding legacy, or whether it's going to be a mean spirited, ugly, deteriorating one that doesn't uplift anyone. We are all here for such great purpose and power. And so, this conversation is really to focus on it in that way, that even right now, you are creating the legacy and making your mark. And so that business that you're working on, that job that you have, the lives that you are touching, you are making your mark and leaving a legacy.
And let me just say this: not everybody is going to have a legacy uh, sculpt in the mountains at Mount Rushmore. I don't
See,
know why I said that.
I know why you said that. Well, I think what's important is this, right? When you think about Mount Rushmore, I don't know about you, I've never been there. I'm sure it is something to see, just the idea, right? That man has the talent and the skills to create a Mount Rushmore, right? It is not on my bucket list. So, if Mount Rushmore is for you, go for it.
That's
Go
right.
go ahead and create that Mount Rushmore legacy. But be reminded, right, that it's not one that's going to impact the way you believe it might.
Yeah. So, Stace, it's okay for us to just let folks know that you can have that open discussion,
Mm-hmm.
uh, be candid, talk about your fears, talk about your concerns. I know people even go as far as plan their own funeral services.
Write your own obituary. Huh?
Well,
Bernardo agrees. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
speaking of that, I have a friend who goes on these silent retreats, and one of the things that they did at a retreat leading up to it was they had a workshop where they wrote their own obituaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important because when you reflect on how you want others to see and speak about you, it does something to you in terms of how you need to align your life currently. Are
Mm-hmm.
you walking in alignment with how you want others to recognize and speak of you?
I love that. It goes right back to your use of the word intention.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to choose. And when we get the thoughts out of our head and really think about how we want someone else, right? Someone that maybe we loved or poured into, how we would like others to then talk about us and the mark that we made from their perspective, or what they witnessed, how they witnessed us treat other people, or the generosity they've seen in us. I too, one of my coaches, Crystal Evans Hurst, she recently, I feel like maybe it was around the holidays or before the end of the year, did a Dream Builders workshop. And it's available on YouTube for anyone that'd like to see it. But I think the last day was just that. It is about, like, what is the legacy you want folks to remember? And it really was an exercise basically in writing your own obituary. So the resources and the tools are out there, if you don't know where to start, but there's such great opportunity to just start and take Wayne up on some of his challenges.
Yeah. Stace, how
Mhm.
do we have great folks in the house listening in, and those that will join us later on their favorite podcast channels, because we're
Mhm.
everywhere on the podcast
Yes, we are.
world, YouTube as well. How do we have those folks get in touch with you to get some of the excellent coaching that you offer?
I truly appreciate that, sir. I can always be reached at thestacymlewis.com. Certainly, if you are watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook, you know how to reach me there. You can tag me. Sir, you are welcome to put your thoughts and your requests to connect in the comments, because it indeed is my heart's desire to be of service. So, Wayne, I know how they can reach you, but why don't you tell them how they can
Yeah.
reach you?
Yeah, well, you can certainly DM me if you're listening right now on Facebook or on LinkedIn, but check out my website, viptransformativeliving.com, and you'll see all of my access ports.
Mm.
Just call a brother and let us get together.
Yes, yes. And just so y'all know, brothers, Wayne has always got a little gift, a little something, something in the corner. So, don't hesitate to reach out to him. Those of you that follow him in particular on LinkedIn know that he is always dropping such encouraging and empowering gems. I don't always comment because I realize I'm not always the target audience of his
Thank you,
comments,
Stacy.
but they are indeed gems. So follow Wayne, connect with him, and be blessed.
Thank you, Stacy.
Mhm,
Stacy, I want to make
mhm.
a quick shout out to my buddy from BEM, Black Executive Males, right?
Okay.
They're having, and this is an organization that is on fire, Stacy. I'm a
Ooh.
part of BEM here in Florida, but
Mhm.
they're everywhere, all over, internationally now too. It's brothers coming together, moving with a mission, especially
Ooh.
corporate brothers. And the founder is and visioner is Brother Jewel Love. And this weekend on
Mhm.
Saturday, BEM is having all over the place its second quarterly get together, brothers social. So if you're in town, or just get online and follow me, and you'll see Bem and Bem Brothers, or
Mm-hmm.
follow Dewey Love, and hook up in your city, in your town this weekend to be a part of the Bem activities. You won't want to be left out, brothers.
Well, that's good stuff for the brothers. Sisters, y'all know how to holler. We'll get it together. We'll figure something out. I'll be sharing more about the Midlife Sisters Collective, and some other great things that I hope will bless the people. So, Wayne, it is good to be back.
Good to have you
I
back.
once again thank you so much for all of the love and support during my time of bereavement. The Midlife Revolution Unleashed community is indeed one that has been supportive and uplifting, and I just want to say thank you.
And we're out until next week, same time. Thanks, folks.
Make your mark, leave your legacy.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. Hey, we truly appreciate your spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
And don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the comments and share it with others. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.